there were a lot of instances where the police were involved, and when they would come in, they would just say, y'all are such a beautiful family, y'all just need to work this out, regardless of, whatever the situation was that she was going through. So.
Why do you feel some survivors do not share their story?
I think that there's a big sense of shame and guilt behind being a victim, because when you do share your story, people are constantly telling you what you should do and how you should react and what things you should, you shouldn't put your children in those situations, or you shouldn't put yourself in those situations. But a lot of times they don't understand that you might be financially dependent on this person, or, you might not have family near you, and people take part of the situation and they address that, but not the whole thing. And so I think most people feel more comfortable just keeping it to themselves so they don't have to deal with the social stigma or being told what they should do.
My name is Conrad Chase Young, and I play the role of Brian Simmons in the movie Stolen Crowns.
Why do you feel this piece is important?
It hits me pretty close to home. My sibling has gone through some very similar, very unfortunate, but also very similar instances in her prior marriage. And so that really hits home to me. It makes it very personal, but I think it happens more often than people realize. And I think it's important to make it more common for women, especially in those situations, to be able to reach out. It's sort of odd how, I guess in my personal experience, how easy it is for people to hide them, and how sort of quickly I think situations in interpersonal relationships can become something that we see in the movie. So I think it's very important that people become more acclimated to recognizing that this isn't okay and that needs to be dealt with, ideally very quickly, and separation gained, and boundaries really put in place so that it doesn't get worse and worse and worse.
I think it's important because I think a lot of times, especially like in our culture, we have reduced domestic violence to something that's not really that serious. And, people think no one really gets hurt and it's just a part of love. But I think it's important to show like this has very drastic situations. And there's also a lot of times where people are like, why don't they just report, or why don't they just do this, that, and the third? And so I think it's important for people to see, the entire story, that it's not always as simple as just leave or just report it. My name is Jalen Draper, and I play the role of Officer Richards in Stolen Crowns. When I was growing up, my mother, when she got remarried, her husband was kind of violent towards her, and that's why I said it really touched me, because there were a lot of instances where the police were involved, and when they would come in, they would just say, y'all are such a beautiful family, y'all just need to work this out, regardless of, whatever the situation was that she was going through. So yeah, that was definitely difficult to watch, but very much a lesson growing up for warning signs of things to watch out for.
I would say it harkens back to sort of my personal experience with my sister. It brings it very close to home, which I think can be harnessed, and that's the hope, is to be able to utilize that in a creative fashion in order to help spread a very positive message. But it also, by doing so, it pulls the heartstrings into a very hard place, sort of a helplessness to any of that.
So growing up, when my parents would get into their arguments, I was the oldest of my 4 siblings, and when it first started, I was probably around 8 or 9 years old, and so I felt this huge responsibility to be the one to protect my mom because I was the oldest one. And so a lot of times I felt like I had to interject myself into the situation and put myself in danger just because I didn't want my sisters to witness it, because I knew we all felt, powerless. But I felt like I had to be the barrier between them and my parents.
How has that affected you in your adult life?
In my first few serious relationships, there was always this fear of, is this person gonna change on me? Are they gonna be, are they just being this nice person now? Is there like an ulterior motive, or how is this person gonna react when they get angry? Like, what can I expect from them? So it left me very distrusting of people, and because the situation, because my stepfather was the aggressive one in the situation, I did have like a general distrust of men until I grew up and outlearned that. But it definitely affected my relationships and how I communicated with people. Someone loves you, they would never put their hands on you. Someone who loves you wants to make you feel good. They want to make you feel cherished. They don't want to make you feel broken. And if you're staying with someone because you feel like they truly love you, then that is not the case. They do not truly love you. And if you are nervous about having the resources or anything like that, there are several different organizations in our country and even in our city that are dedicated to helping you get out of that situation. So you can get out of the situation.
So you can follow at www.stolencrownsmovie, via YouTube at Rudy's Girl Media, and on Facebook as well.